Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to yet another video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Njuche. So on today's video, we're basically discussing foundation, everything you need to know about foundation, because your foundation is 90% of your makeup. So definitely you need to make an informed decision when picking out your foundation. And I need to be honest, first and foremost, 90%, or maybe let's make it 80% of the time, you will definitely not find your perfect foundation match, because we basically have a very unique, each individual has a unique skin tone and a skin type. So you might not necessarily fit into the maybe 20 shades available to you when you're picking out your foundation, but on the bright side, you will definitely find something that is super close to you. So this video is basically to help you find a shade that is as close to you as possible, because you don't want your face and your neck looking like they belong to two different bodies. Though even with that said, even for me, I know I look pretty much one color, but my forehead is usually darker than the rest of my face. So when picking out a foundation, you'll have to figure out which shade is pretty much okay for you. Let's get straight into the video. I'm just talking too much. So on to the types of foundation. There are a variety of foundations, but I'll mention the ones that I've personally seen. So there are liquid foundations, there are stick foundations, and there are also cream foundations. So on to our first type of foundations, which are the liquid foundation. Liquid foundations, in my opinion, are the best foundation the makeup world ever gave to us, because they are basically for any skin type. If you have normal skin type, if you have oily skin type, or if you have dry skin type, you will always find one liquid foundation that is going to suit you, because with the liquid foundations you find that there is one that has a mattifying finish, which is great for someone with oily skin. There's one that has a dewy finish, also great for someone with maybe dry skin or normal to dry skin. It's also going to fit you perfectly. So an example of a liquid foundation is the one that I use, the Maybelline Fit Me foundation. So that is a liquid foundation, and it's really simple to use. It's really amazing. So on to the next type of foundation, which is the stick foundation. Stick foundations are basically, they're called stick because it's basically like a stick. The same way you pull out lipstick there, it comes out. That is the same way that stick foundations look like. But on the downside, stick foundations are most appropriate for people with oily skin. If you have dry skin and you put on stick foundation, like it doesn't like melt into your skin as easily as it would in someone who has oily skin. So I remember I've used stick foundation once and I did not like it. It can easily cake up, because typically I came to learn that stick foundation is for people with oily skin, and my skin is not close to being called oily skin. So yeah, that is one major disadvantage to stick foundations, because if you do not have oily skin, just stay away from that foundation. Then moving on to the next foundation, which is our last, is the cream foundation. A cream foundation is usually more thicker, it's creamier or thicker than the liquid foundation. Like the liquid foundation is a little bit more watery than the cream foundation. Then the cream foundations typically, mostly they come in a pump, and it's thicker and richer and creamier. They are really good for persons with normal to dry skin, because they are super hydrating to your skin. So yeah, if you have oily skin and you decide to use a cream foundation, I think you're just going to look really caked on, because once your natural oils start coming out, and this is a super hydrating foundation, then all that oiliness is going to be too much for your face. Just to add on to that, there's also another type of foundation, which is the powder foundation, but I have never used a powder foundation. I can't give an honest opinion on that, but from what I know is that powder foundations are basically mostly for people with oily skin, because all the powder is going to get soaked into your natural oils. One more thing you need to know, the Maybelline foundation that I use, it actually oxidizes with time. The longer you have it on, and by oxidizing, it simply means that it will definitely change color. So when you put it on 30 minutes later, an hour later, it's definitely going to look different than how it was the first minute you applied it. And with that, you might actually find that a shade that you thought was your perfect shade, once you wear it out throughout the day, then with time it's going to start looking like you picked out the wrong shade. So you need to be really, really careful with that and know whether the foundation oxidizes. But unfortunately, they do not write on the foundation whether it's going to oxidize or not. I actually googled and found out that these foundations do oxidize. So now that we know all the basic foundation types and what is suitable for your skin, let's say assuming you settle for a liquid foundation, then again you need to now go into shades. For some foundations, you can actually go in and check on your undertone, because if you have a warm undertone, there are foundation types that maybe have like warm caramel. If you have a cool undertone, there'll be foundations for you like the cool tan. Like for this, it's warm caramel. I don't know whether there's a cool caramel, but yeah, for me, my undertone is warm, so I tend to incline towards foundations that have warm in them. Also, another key indicator for your foundation, they always have writings on them. Like for this specific Maybelline foundation, it's written it's matte and poreless for normal to oily skin. So if you're getting this foundation and you know that your skin type is not within this range, probably you have extremely dry skin, then this is not the foundation for you. You need to get maybe one that is for dry skin. If you have normal to dry skin, get a foundation for normal to dry skin range. Yeah, that is like a bonus tip. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'll repeat it just in case you missed it. Make sure you test out your foundation shade under natural lighting, because honestly, it's not like you're going to be wearing your foundation indoors, you'll be wearing it outdoors. So just make sure to check on your foundation and how it suits you when you're out in natural sunlight. One more thing, once you're going to buy your foundation, do not let it get tested on your hand. Because honestly, even for me, my skin color on my face and what I have here, they're two different colors. So if I was to get foundation tested over here, it will not suit my face, because definitely these are different color. So whenever you're buying foundation, just let it get tested on your jawline, or you can even get just anywhere, as long as it's on your face, because you're going to be applying it on your face. So now we've gone to the makeup store, we know our undertone, we know our skin type, and you know the kind of finish that you want for your foundation, and we have picked out our foundation and you have it with you. So now on to some tips, and yeah, basically tips for using your foundation and making it work for you. And one more thing, with time and with experience, you might actually find that maybe number 350 is not your perfect shade, but once maybe you mix shade X and shade Y, it blends in to make a shade that is really, really suitable for you. So don't be afraid of mixing up two different shades, especially if they are of the same brand. I don't suggest that you mix up things that are not related, though I don't know what can happen. Before I digressed, we're at the point where now you have your foundation, and now I'm going to be giving you just basic tips around your foundation. Tip number one, once you apply foundation, you need to blend down your foundation to your neck and also to your ears and a little bit into your hairline, because you don't want to look like you typically had a mask or someone just stands next to you and they can clearly see where your foundation ended right by your jawline. You take your time to blend out the foundation. You don't want to look like you borrowed a face. On to the second tip. Ideally, foundation, you should apply one layer or two layers, at most 2 layers of foundation. You don't need to get the whole bottle of or half a bottle of foundation on your face, it's just going to look really extra and super caked on. So use one layer or two layers at most. Just don't go on putting a lot of makeup trying to hide or conceal, or just whatever you're trying to do with it. One layer or two layers should be more than sufficient. So on to the third tip, which I believe I've already mentioned, is about foundation oxidizing. So just try and apply your foundation maybe when you're not leaving the house, and just know, like, 2 hours, 3 hours later, does it look like it originally looked like, or not does it look like it's really dark for you? And if it's super dark, then the next time you will buy your foundation, you need to go for a shade that is a bit lighter than what you originally got. That way, if it oxidizes, it now goes to your shade. You get? Yeah, I hope that was clear. But if it's shade 350 and it oxidizes and looks like a 356 on you, the next time you can maybe buy at 340. Now when it oxidizes, it will get to 350, which is your perfect shade. On to the last tip, which is like, yeah, I know it's general knowledge, but make sure you thoroughly clean your face every time you take off your foundation. You do not want to go to bed with your foundation on, or remnants of your foundation on your face, because definitely your face is going to break out because of all the pores being clogged, and you know, your skin needs to breathe every once in a while. So you can maybe skip on foundation for a day, then make sure you thoroughly clean your face before going to bed. That way your skin will just thank you at the end of the day and not react to the foundation. So on to my next and final tip, which is another bonus: do not use expired foundation. I won't be out here lying that I know what expired foundation will do to your face, but I wouldn't want to imagine what using all these compounds in foundation when they expire, what they'll do to your skin. But yeah, typically, like for this specific foundation, it was manufactured in April of 2019 and it expires on April of 2022. So basically it has a shelf life of 3 years. But one more thing about this: once you open it up, the shelf life does reduce significantly. Like for this specific one, you can clearly see once you open it up, there is an indicator on the back or wherever on your makeup product, or rather your foundation, like this. There's this tin that shows it's been opened. So once you open it up, you can only use it for 12 months. Then there are some that will have maybe 18 months, some products will have 6 months. So once you open it up, within the 12 months you need to have depleted your foundation. Though basically, if you use foundation on a regular, it will take you less than an year to run through this specific bottle. At times you need to remember, when did I start using the foundation? Like for example, if I started using this in July, then somewhere in the back of my mind I should have it registered that by July of next year I should have run through this entire bottle of foundation. So try and remember when you open the product. That way it's not like 2 years later and you're still using the foundation that clearly indicated you should only use it within 12 months after opening it up. So guys, that is pretty much it. I feel like I've talked so much, but yeah, basically I hope that I have answered most of the questions that you may have around foundation and how to get one that fits you perfectly. The first time you might get it wrong, the second time you'll get closer, the third time you'll have known which shade suits you perfectly. So yeah, that is it for this week's video. I hope that you'll go out there and get yourself the perfect foundation. Any questions that you may have, kindly leave them down in the comment section. As always, I respond to each and every comment. And yeah, see you in my next video as we learn to look glam together. Bye.